All right, welcome back to Music Highway at Rockstar Art Gallery. We're having a party outside, man. We got a lot of people that came out today, and we appreciate all the support. I'd also like to mention our sponsors that are here today. We have St. Arnold's Brewing Company, state-of-the-art shows, and Hot Toppings Pizza and Karbach Brewers all brought something to support Music Highway at Rockstar, and we really appreciate them coming out. Now I'm in the studio room with Andrew Bateman. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you. How's it going?
Awesome. We're so excited to have you here.
Oh, I appreciate you.
I've been telling everybody what an amazing guitarist you are. I remember the first time I ever heard you. I think it was out in the Bay Area somewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was like, oh my gosh, who is that guy? I got to know who he is.
Right.
And I was glad that I went up to you and met you because
I appreciate it. It's been great just keeping the back and forth going.
Yeah, I mean, we've always kept in touch all these years. I mean, that had to be 15, 16 years ago, I think, the first time I ever saw you play. But we love what you do, and we're happy to have you here in the studio with us. You want to tell us a little bit about your genre of music and what you do? I'm
still trying to define what that is, actually. Right. I use the flamenco technique, the style, but it's not traditional flamenco music. And I mean, I love it. The aficionados would get mad at me for saying I'm a flamenco player.
Right.
It's kind of like when you can shred, and metal is how I started out, and you listen to all that and it's impressive for a while, but it kind of almost gets fatiguing to the ear for some.
Sure.
So I kind of wanted to take that technique and put it into a genre where you had more groove, where you could kind of just chill and listen to it. So you'll hear blues licks, you'll hear some rock licks, you'll hear
metal licks, yeah.
Yeah, you'll hear.
I hear those in your stuff.
I actually
really
do
cool.
Unforgiven, which is the song that made me pick up the guitar in the first place
for
Metallica.
Wow. Yeah.
But I do a rendition of that, and that was where it all started.
Right. So who are your influences? Who influenced your music?
Starting all the way, Metallica again was the first, and I got really, really into Pantera and Slayer. I started playing thrash and death metal in the garage and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But when I really kind of found my style was I went to San Jack and I saw a guy named Jeremy Garcia, who is the classical teacher there, and he's one of the finest guitarists I've heard, period, anywhere. And he does the traditional flamenco as well as plenty of other styles. So it was that mixed with all the background that I had and all this. I did some country professionally for a little while and stuff like that, and and then even getting into music ministry and going to Africa and places like that and hearing the styles that they play over there, because they learn things differently over there.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those trips?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's just been amazing. And one thing I'll say, if you told me I was going to be a worship leader 4 or 5 years ago, I would have laughed and punched you in the face.
Right.
But the Lord does some awesome things. But the one thing over there, of course, it's humbling, because you go over there where there's been genocide, and you're going over there to minister to these people, but they end up ministering to you in ways you never could have to them, because you see joy
learn.
in ways that things we've never had to deal with, because they know where their hope lies.
Right. So where all have you gone?
We've gone to Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, Congo, and briefly in Uganda.
Wow, that's amazing.
But it's what's really interesting too is, of course, a lot of them, they don't have a lot of money over there, and they're making their own instruments, and they're phenomenal players, but they almost learn backwards. We learn guitar, for example, first position, the first few frets, they start up at the top of the neck and work their way back down. So, and that's where I actually came up with the style. You'll hear when I play that I actually play drums real time on the spot and record it on the guitar. And I witnessed this in Africa, and I was just messing around with it, and it just happened to work, and that's kind of become my gimmick.
Oh yeah. I love the way you mix all your different sounds behind yourself, and then you kind of play the classical into the sounds that you've already created.
Right, and it takes all the politics out of being in a band too.
Do you use a looper?
I do. I use a Boss RC500.
Good. We like to tell people out there what you're playing through, so that if they're looking to do something similar, or if they need to use different equipment, we like to talk about equipment too, and instruments.
Right on. Well, if Boss wants to endorse me, they're welcome to if they hear this.
Right. and you also play a guitar that's kind of like on a stand going sideways, and you do a double neck kind of.
I've got a bass. Sometimes I used to set up the electric and all kinds of stuff. It just wasn't practical. But the way I'll do it is I'll have a bass on a stand, so I'll play percussion real time, record it into the looper, play auxiliary percussion over that, play the rhythm guitar, play the bass, and then I'll play, if I want harmony in there, and then throughout the song I'll kick things in and out to build it, and so you have the dynamics of a full band. Yeah,
that's just crazy good. So where do you record?
I do everything at home.
Okay, so you have a home recording studio.
I do, and I just started using Pro Tools, and so I've got some really neat stuff coming out pretty soon.
Yeah. I got a studio at a Rock and Robin Kirby Records. I put a studio in my house, and it's really helped me so much to be able to capture the sound that I hear in my head instead of trying to explain it to someone in a studio.
Exactly.
So, and I suggest that all artists out there, if you're trying to get forward and put out a lot of music, that you do invest in your own studio equipment.
Absolutely.
Or at least some simple ways to record or lay down what what you have in your head.
Right. It's so easy nowadays.
Right. So, do you have any new releases, or you said something about something new? You got some stuff coming out on Pro Tools?
I've got 3 different CDs underway, actually. I've got one, you can hear one single from it on my website if you go to the bottom of the homepage, and you hear it. It's going to be different from these in that I'm doing real drums and all this kind of stuff, so it's got a little bit more of a groove flair to it than the ones I've done so far. In addition, I'm also working on another instrumental. It's going to be a little bit softer, a little more laid back, and I'm working on a semi-contemporary Christian album, I guess you'd say, where I'm actually going to be putting my vocals on tracks for the first time ever, which freaks me out, but I'm looking forward to it.
Wow, I never heard you sing. I was like, we were wondering if we were going to have to mic you today, but
you're going to have to wait for that one.
I was like, I don't think he's going to sing yet, but I would really like to know if you did sing. So I got my answer just then. You're actually singing on some of the new stuff that's going to come out.
My wife helps me a lot. I tend to be a way better singer when she's with me.
Now, you're a worship leader as well. Where do you, where is your...
We're at a small church plant called Calvary Chapel in Pearland. Right now we're in a church off of in Manville, off of Bailey Road, and we meet every Sunday. Just we're in one of those little school churches. We came from the mega church, and we've gotten to see a church plant from the ground up. All the politics and stuff.
Sure.
Didn't have to deal with that. So it's been a humbling but a really amazing experience. And I found my passion and my calling is absolutely worship ministry. But I was one of those fortunate enough to know what my calling was, because this gift is, I don't know how I do it. My guitar used to sit in my truck for weeks at a time, and I could just do this stuff with a guitar, and people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know, and now I do know. It's not me who does it, it's the Lord.
So how many albums have you put out now?
That are actually available. I've got 6, 4 of which are the traditional, or 4 of which are the flamenco kind of style. The other 2 are just a number of different things. Plus, I've recorded for country artists and different people, so I'm doing writing and a little bit of that on the side as well now.
Okay. Did you bring some of those albums today?
Yes.
So if you guys come out, you can grab one of Andrew's albums. He'll be out in the main room playing from 3 to 5 p.m. and he'll also be on air, I think, from like 3:20 or 3:30 or something till 5 p.m. So you'll get to hear what Andrew does. He's going to set up after this interview, and we'll get to hear some of his wonderful and amazing music.
Right on.
Do you have some upcoming shows that you'd like to talk about?
I do. I'll just make a note that I actually, I did music professionally for 15 years, and I got out for a little bit. I had some health issues, and I took another job, but I'm back so it's a little slow start, but I'll be at Eduardo's Mexican Kitchen in Webster every Wednesday. I'll be at South Shore Harbor every first Friday of the month. I'll be at Preamble various Fridays, and I'll also be at Mainly Drinks occasionally in LaPorte. So you go to andrewbateman.com, and you can see all the updated schedule. Okay,
so if you're looking for Andrew Bateman's information, or you really dig the music that you hear today on Music Highway at Rockstar, then be sure to check out andrewbateman.com, and that's ANDREWBATEMAN.
You got it, Batman with an E.
All right. Did you have anything else that you wanted to tell the listeners today, or you want to talk about what songs you're going to do today? What are you going to do for us?
I guess I'll let this out early. I'll do, it's all mostly going to be originals, but I do a whole lot of improvisation. So a lot of the times when you come to sets, you'll hear some cover tunes and stuff like that, some of the places I play, but a lot of the stuff you're going to hear today is going to be kind of just coming out, made up on the spot. I'll just put down a rhythm, or I'll play some drums, and if I don't like it, the cool thing is I can erase that track without, make it sound like I know what I'm doing. Like I like to say I'm a professional faker.
Yeah, I'd like to get into looping a little bit more. I went and saw a looper at... and he was at the Dynamo Stadium, and he was a solo looper. And
John Acevedo, I know.
Yeah, and it was so amazing. I had no idea that a guy could be on a stage that big and make all that sound. Because when he first got up there, I was like, man, did we pay? You know what I mean? To see this one guy, what's he going to do? But man, I couldn't even believe what he did. So it was a really cool concert, and I'm really interested in looping. So maybe sometime you could help me.
Absolutely.
Because I'd sometimes like to loop some stuff just to see if maybe loop it in recordings.
Right on.
Would be super cool.
My biggest advice with that would just be don't do too much, because I remember like I said, I used to do electric guitar, and I'd have a full drum kit, I'd have a piano over here, and I remember running back and forth across the stage and just falling on my face 3 or 4 times and deciding that's probably not the best way to go.
Right.
So less is more in a sense with that.
Absolutely. Okay, so do you have any crazy show stories for us?
Oh gosh, that are appropriate for air. I'm not. Well, one is a ministry thing. We were in Kenya, and there were about 25,000 people out there. These people had walked for days to come hear the gospel. It was amazing. But so I'm this big white dude. They haven't seen a big white dude very much in these little towns and stuff. So the kids love it, and they're all hanging off me and stuff like that. But so some guy comes up with a djembe, and he's playing and stuff. So I kind of approach this little drum circle, and they're like, look at me like, who's this dude? But I learned djembe from a tribal guy here in Galveston, actually. So I started playing in a drum circle, and before you know it, it seemed like everybody in this crowd was either playing some kind of percussion instrument or singing. So you had 25,000 people that just started
Just playing some spontaneous.
Music. The cool thing is, though, when we were given the gospel, we had to have 5 or 10 translators for different languages. But the second the music started, everybody was in one voice, and it was just so cool. It's the universal language of the world.
Right. So what guitars did you bring today?
Today it's just I've got a Ibanez BTB bass. I beat those things up. They're great. But I'm going to be playing a Cordoba GK Pro. And that's the best thing about that. Of course, classical guitars, you've got a lot less selection than you would have with your steel strings, but it's going to have a pickup and a microphone, which is really important for the looping that I do, as I do percussion and all that stuff. And you can also cut down the mids, so you can get a steel string rhythm sound while cranking the mids up, and you can get that really rich nylon sound, that the classical sound that people like so much. So it's really versatile.
Right. I love the sound of nylon guitar. Willie Nelson plays those nylon strings, and I like the way it adds to the country. It's like I like the way you put it in country, because instead of bringing a flamenco feel to a country song is really cool.
It does. You'll hear even today. I've been working with a lot of almost pop progressions lately, and where you would hear like a Strat or something, holding out these long chords just to give it a mood and stuff like that.
Right.
Just bringing these genres in. It's so versatile with nylon, and I couldn't play anything else now. I've had that in place of my Strat. I've had it in place of my Martin, and it just works for everything.
Right. Well, I think we have some music by you here, and I believe that Kat's going to let us hear one of those tunes. Which tunes do we have, Kat?
I'm putting on World Flamenco.
We've got World Flamenco. Where two or more together? Oh, where two or more are gathered. There we go. Okay, so you're listening to Andrew Bateman and those 2 songs. We'll be right back. Here in the studio with Andrew still, Andrew Bateman. That was his wonderful flamenco music that you just heard on air, and we're happy to have him. So I think, Andrew, you're going to tell us a little bit about, you give lessons too, right?
I do. I'm kind of refocusing now. It used to be, performance-oriented and a few lessons on the side, and I'm kind of trying to reverse that and focus more on lessons.
Okay.
I'll be in the Bay Area. I'll be in Lee City at the Butler Longhorn Museum for some lessons,
Okay.
and some home lessons, things like that. But the thing is, I focus on comprehensive guitar instruction where you don't just learn to play a few songs off a tablature. You learn the instrument, you learn what the fretboard does and how it works in its totality.
Right.
So you get a real comprehensive outlook, whether it's preparing you for going to Berkeley or just wanting to be a songwriter or play open mics, whatever the case is.
Okay.
But it's all tailored to the individual student.
Now, do you mind telling what you charge?
It's $25 weekly for a half hour, and I'll provide, other than an introductory book, I'll provide all the teaching materials as well.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a really great deal. I know some lessons are like outrageously expensive. That sounds really affordable and good. So is there an email or something they can write to you if
There
they
is
want to get lessons? How are they going to reach you?
You can always go to my website is the best way. You can find my
Okay.
phone and all that there, but it's
Andrew Bateman.
guitarist Bateman at live.com.
Okay.
But one thing with this too is it's about being goal oriented, because we have quarterly recitals and things like that. But also when students are doing really well, I'll take them into the studio with no extra charge, and they'll get to produce a demo. So you get a picture with you on it, with your
Oh,
song
wow.
that you record. And if you can play all the instruments, you're welcome to. So who doesn't want that?
Okay, so all you people out there who want to record some music, or you want to record, Andrew can record you. He also gives lessons for $25.
Yes,
Is it
ma'am.
$25? And how long does that include? An hour? Is that an hour?
That's a half hour.
That's a half hour. Okay, $25 for a half hour lesson with Andrew Bateman. And believe me, when you hear him, you're going to want one of those lessons. I think I might even want one of those lessons. Yeah. So you also do weddings and you do private parties.
I do all
and-
kinds. The cool thing is, again, I just like tailoring it. It's all about the connection, the relationship. So it's not just show up at the wedding, play a couple of cover tunes, and leave. It's, I like to meet with the people before, talk about it, get to know them, get to talk about what they really want, and tailor what they want to their specific ceremony. If they have a specific song that's really integral to their relationship or whatever, I can work out a classical rendition or something like that.
Yeah, cool. So you'll teach them the song they want to learn instead of
Absolutely,
because when I was a kid, the teacher made you play whatever the teacher wanted to teach you. I was like, couldn't we just play something really cool?
Say, I had someone recently who wanted, a Black Eyed Peas song at their wedding, but of course
Right.
they didn't want this was actually for their walk, so
Sure.
it's about arranging it in a way that it sounds, reverent, like a timeless classical wedding arrangement, but it'll be that song that means so much to them, and so I like to arrange things in ways that really fit the occasion for people, whereas other folks would just, play a PA or something like that.
Right. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for
That's my
coming in
pleasure.
today. We really appreciate you, and we're going to hear some live music in the live room from about 3:20 till 5 p.m. Of Andrew Bateman. I think we're going to slide over. I wanted to also mention my next interviews are with some really great visual artists. I'm bringing in some artists that are in the room today that have hung their wonderful and beautiful art. Lauren Butler, Holly Thomas, Richard Torres, Teresa Stanley, and Lisa Hilton will be coming in with me here in a little while, so I'll be interviewing some visual artists, and we're pretty excited to have them here. But thank you so much, Andrew Bateman.
Oh, thank y'all for having me.
We're also going to play Andrew's new, or one of his latest live CDs in the room, out in the main room. And what's the name of that CD?
That's Eternal.
Eternal. So we're going to play Eternal and out in the main room, and I think we're going to hear a couple more of Andrew Bateman's songs and get the visual artists in the room. So thanks for tuning in today on StilettoBroadcasting.com, Music Highway at Rockstar. This is Rockin' Robin Kirby.